Okay, Tom Frank from tomfrankart.wordpress.com and also Evil Giant Robots for Miranda, the Facebook group, with a long overdue update on the theme sketchbook project of Evil Giant Robots. November was a real busy time, tons of stuff. It's now the beginning of March. The sketchbook project has been moving forward, but things have slowed down, but we're gearing up to convention season. So I'll break this segment up into two parts, updating you on the 3 sketchbooks since the last update, who's been added, what drawings we've added, and what we got coming up, big plans. So let's start. When we last were following the theme sketchbook project, sketchbook number 2 was out to Ed Greer. I only had 2 of the sketchbooks when I was doing this last one. My friend, Ed Greer, he gave it back to me. Great drawing. It was penciled, and he's bugging me that he wants to ink it. So when I free up some time in sketchbook number 2, I'll give it back to him. He can ink it. Sketchbook number 3, I also didn't have. That's right. I had mailed that out to Michael Jakes, illustrator in Minnesota. He gave it back to me, and we'd given him a little bit of art direction, my daughter and I. He's a big Micronauts collector, and we wanted to come up with an evil giant robot for one of the Micronauts aliens. My daughter picked Repto. Michael Jakes came up with a Repto evil giant robot, which is awesome, and it really looks like one of the toys. It could fit into the toy line very nicely. So I got sketchbook number 3 back, I got sketchbook number 2 back. Sketchbook number 1 I had during the last update, and Kim Jung-gi had done a beautiful quick sketch in there. So around the beginning of the year, I was sort of refocusing my efforts. Who should I try and get? And I was looking off the Eisner winners and looking at conventions, which artist is going to be appearing where, book signings, and a lot of stuff to follow. And I just messaged on Steve Rude's page. I know he regularly goes to the Phoenix Comic-Con, and I was thinking about going to the Phoenix Comic-Con, and I wanted to know if he was going to be there. Could I get him there? And the message was, no, he's not going this year. So through a friend of mine, Tim Powers, who had some contact with him before, he asked Steve Rude if he would do a page in the sketchbook for my daughter. And he says he's not really doing commissions right now, but he would do one. So at the beginning of the year, I mailed sketchbook number 1 out to Steve Rude, which was huge. I was really excited about that. Sketchbooks number 2, so that one was gone, beginning of January. Sketchbooks number 2 and 3 I had here going to signings. There was a signing at Blastoff Comics where Paul Chadwick, creator of Concrete, was there, and Ken Stacy. And they were doing a signing with Harlan Ellison for a project that they were working on together. But Ken Stacy had done a lot of the like Japanese properties, the American comic book versions of them. Astro Boy he did, and Speed Racer he did. Now Comics, I believe. And I really like his style. And because he did Astro Boy, that gave me an idea. For this project, generally I want original robots. But I have an Astro Boy manga, and this chapter was called The Snow Leopard, and a really beautiful, interesting story. It had been turned into an episode, both in the black and white original cartoon series, and then in the one in 1980. But there was a robot in there that figured into the plot that was not put into the black and white episode, and was completely redesigned in the 1980s one. But I'd really been struck by it, and I think it wasn't animated initially because it was too complex looking. So I sort of went off the theme a little bit of original Evil Giant Robots to have Ken Stacy draw this Osamu Tezuka robot that I love so much from the 60s, and he did a beautiful rendering of it. It was great, but he didn't know that actually in the plot it's a whole bunch of robots that are combined together, and Astro Boy is one of them, but he didn't understand the issue, and he was having Astro Boy fight this robot, which doesn't make sense in the context of the story, but still, it's a great picture and a great story. So Paul Chadwick did one. Then there was end of January, there was a comic book convention in Yorba Linda. California Comic-Con. Small convention, really old school, nothing but back issues and original art. I just loved it. And I got Tim Truman was there and Mark Nelson was there. And I wanted, I'm trying to go, sketchbook number 2 has the most pages, so I was willing to wait an extra long time to have them, Mark Nelson did one and then Tim Truman did one. And they both did great drawings. So sketchbook number 2 was really plowing forward. I gave, after the signing with Ken Stacy and Paul Chadwick, I gave sketchbook number 3 to a friend of mine who I went to art school with many years ago. He was my roommate, Dave Bondi, and he's a big vinyl artist now. And I wanted one from him, and he did a robot that was very, very evil. And I'm happy to add that to the collection. There was a convention called Zine Fest in LA, and I got the artist who had done the poster for Zine Fest there. And then a couple Saturdays ago, there was a signing of Adventure Time artists for the Hero Initiative. And I got a drawing there and was able to donate some money to the Hero Initiative. One of the other misadventures in this project, one of the categories that I've been trying to get are Caldecott winners. There's currently 12 that I have, and I thought there were 19 that I didn't have. But since that, the number has gone up to 21. Now, the first reason that the number went up is that a new Caldecott winner was announced. Brian Flocka for Locomotive won at the end of January, beginning of February, at the American Library Awards, or American Library Association. So, he's a young guy. I've seen him speak before. At some point, I think he would be willing to do it. He does seem like the type of artist. I know he studied at RISD under David Macaulay, and David Macaulay's already in the sketchbook. So I think I can get him at some point. But then the number went up from 20 to 21 because there was a Caldecott winner who's still alive, who I didn't know was still alive. Alice Provenson, I believe was born in 1917, and she lives in Orange County. I saw that she's part of this illustrators group, and I reached out to them. I don't know, this group hasn't been active for several years, and obviously she's almost 100, so I don't know if she's still drawing, but I am trying to get her. I'd love to get her. She's just in Orange County. It would be great to drive down there. There was another Caldecott winner who was nominated for the Oregon Book Awards, Alan Say. And I was emailing them saying, is he going to be there? Is he going to be there? I could mail it to my friend who lives in Portland, just a few miles away from the awards. And there was a book signing afterwards, but it turns out he's not going to the awards. So there's not even a chance to get him. I took sketchbook number 3. Sketchbook number 3 is currently in Massachusetts. I have sketchbooks 2 and 1 here. Sketchbook 3 is in Massachusetts. I gave it to Josh Bernard, who runs Collection DX. He's doing one. There's another toy collector that I know, Josh Frazier. I've been bugging him to, take it, like sort of a baton pass from Josh Bernard and have him do one. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I should get sketchbook number 3 back. So it's the beginning of March, and when things are really going to heat up, end of March. Emerald City Comic Con, I'm going to mail it to my friend Ben Holcomb, who took it to this convention last year and got a great drawing from Ken Christensen. Pia Guerra, I believe, is going to be there. I've been messaging her back and forth. She's another Eisner winner. It would be great to get her. I'm thinking of having, if I can get her to do it, to just do one in pencil and then have that page inked by Jose Marzan, who she worked together on The Last Man. So if I can make that work, I'm going to try. Also, there's a great artist who I've wanted. He was supposed to be at Long Beach, but he wasn't. Eddie Nunez. He draws great robots. I'd love to get him at Emerald City Comic Con as well. Mike Allred is there, but I don't know if he does any sketching at cons. I might reach out to his representation. I'm going to mail sketchbook maybe number 2 to my sister, who lives in Jersey City, and then at Rutgers, there's a big, at the art school there's a big exhibit going on comic books and sequential art. And on April 4th, David Small, who wrote Stitches, but also is a Caldecott winner, is going to be there, and I have reached out to him, and he has said that time, if there's time, he is willing to do a sketch, and that he's happy for the support. So that would be a huge score. Caldecott winners are very tough to get, as I've explained. There's another convention like a week later in New Jersey, Asbury Comic-Con, and J.H. Williams is going to be there. And I know someone who lives in New Jersey, maybe who might be going to it. Brian Isaacs, who got a great sketch for me by Adi Granov at New York Comic-Con. But J.H. Williams is the only con he's doing, so this would be my only shot to get him a great artist, another Eisner winner. After that convention, the third weekend in April, there is WonderCon, and there's a bunch of great artists there. I don't know if I can ever get Jim Lee, but there's another opportunity to try since he is a guest. And there's usually a huge artist alley there. I like to be active. Anime Kanji in San Diego is going on the same weekend. Maybe there's some artists there that I would like to get as well. And then a big convention is C2E2 in Chicago, April 25th through the 27th. I'm going there. Me and some other comedians are doing a comedy show there, and we're playing Pictionary against comic book artists. And there's a big guest list there. Ramon Perez, who I tried to get at New York Comic Con but wasn't able to, is going to be there, so I really want to try and get him. Neil Adams is at a lot of these conventions. He's a huge name. He's expensive, but I do need him at some point. Maybe C2E2 is the time. A guy who studied under him, Buzz, is going to be there. I think he could draw a great robot. Jason Howard, who does Super Dinosaur, a lot of robots in there. That's a convention. He doesn't go to a ton of conventions, certainly not on the West Coast, so there would be an opportunity. And then in May, Big Wow Comic Fest, they're just really adding to the guest list all the time. There's a guy that I've wanted for a long time, Eric Canetti, is going to be there. He lives in LA. I see him at Drink and Draw, but a lot of times it's like asking people to the prom. Oh, I just can't do it. It would be weird to go to San Jose to ask someone in LA to do a sketch, but it just might happen that way. And that brings us through May, so I'm going to stop there. There's a lot of people that I'm working on. There's Joe Johnston, designer on Star Wars, the original, like all the concept art. He's like doing all of these drawings and putting them up on eBay of like AT-ATs and the Millennium Falcon. I don't know if he's hurting for money or something like that, but he's being really active. So I emailed the website and got a hold of his representation, and there might be a private signing sometime in the spring that he's doing, and I would work out something for him to do a sketch at that. I mean, how incredible would that be? So that's another iron in the fire. I'm asking a lot of people. I mean, I'll end on this. Like, I really feel sometimes like a big nudnik. Pestering people for sketches. I've been emailing a lot of people that I haven't even mentioned in this. I'm like, oh, I got this thing for my daughter, and that's not really me. It's sort of making me be this solicitous in asking people for drawings of evil giant robots, but I'm in this pretty deep and I can't stop now. So if you're an artist out there and you're watching this and you draw robots really well, I probably know it already, and be prepared to be bugged by me.